After being out in middle school field experience, I've learned a lot about teacher socialization, instructional strategies, and quite a lot about adolescent development. To begin, in Sweet's article, The Adolescent Musician, on page 8, it talks a lot, not a lot, but it mentions student loyalty um, based off of respect for the teacher, um, focusing towards like sixth grade, how they have like a fierce, like willingness to try and work hard for their teacher. I got to view two elementary schools at Worthington Schools, Blissview and the Hills, Worthington Hills. And the sixth graders loved Mrs. Alexis, and they were always like, almost all of them were always putting forth their best effort. And if they weren't, it was because they either had they had a little like mental disorder, or like they just have attitude problems at home. So it was something that she like struggled with them a little bit, but like all of them were like really loyal. And there was always two girls that like go get the whiteboards in the morning, and then there was a French horn girl who always like sat up straight and like had her best posture and was thinking ahead. And they just all adored Mrs. Alexis, and that was like rooted in that loyalty and having respect for her. And then also in The Adolescent Musician, there was interaction between friends mentioned on page 20, and how like one group of students will act like they will all like kind of act the same. So like if one person like tends to have breakouts in band of like attitude, his or her friends also have that same kind of like attitude distraction. And because you would see them like hanging out in like clusters after band, and you would pick up on like how they would cause distractions during class. And that's also just a part of like emotions and growing up in adolescence, and how Meg dealt with that was always very mature, and she would just kind of elect to ignore it, which is something that a lot of teachers find difficult to do, is to just like kind of let it slide on by. I know I've had an issue with that when I had some students over last summer. I actually spent some time over spring break, or capital spring break, working with my high school director and middle school director over at Delaware Hayes, and observing their middle school, because I didn't know any of the students anymore. And so I watched a lot of emotional fluctuation happen in the adolescence there, because during like sixth grade percussion, there was one group, they were all boys, and they would come in, and like if one person was having an off day, the rest of them would too. And so like they were like all down one day, and then it would like all be distracted, and they wouldn't pay attention the next, and it just like it fluctuated so much because adolescence and hormones and the whole 9 yards. Then on some project-based learning on Evan Tobias's Bring Curriculum to Life, he talked a lot about project-based learning and how like having different setups of projects can help students learn in different ways, and how like they're beneficial in others. And Mrs. Alexis had like it's a really like basic project. It wasn't even like hardly a project. It was like a pizza playing tests. And so like she had a set of like she had 10 tests that all the students had to take, and they would earn like stickers that were pepperonis to earn pizza at the end of the quarter or whatever. And so they had to play like an A flat major scale, A flat arpeggio, and she would have like rhythm sheets, and like they could all work at their own pace. She would like set time aside in class for them to come to her, and I helped too a little bit to have them play for us, and we could give them a sticker, and if they got all of their stickers, then they would get pizza. So it had like some motivation behind it, and they could all learn at their own pace, because as long as they got all of them, eventually they could participate. And if they didn't want to do it in class, they could send a video recording or a sound recording. That way they didn't have to do it in front of the whole class, and they could do it more personally. They could set up an appointment time with her after class, or like during the lunch. They had like a lunch academic thing where they could come in and talk to teachers. And she also had this thing called band lessons, which is like a group of kids could come after school, and she would help them with their work, their like band work, and helped them grow leaps and bounds when they couldn't really in class. So it was a lot more specialized assistance, which it was mostly the students that really liked band, but it was still pretty cool that they would like take their own time out. Middle school field experience helped me realize that middle schoolers are crazy, but not all of them. It was really beneficial in helping me discover still wanting to be a teacher, barely. That was good. Overall, a 7 out of 10 experience.